Welcome, my friends and enemies. Glad you are here. We have another exciting story. I don't know, I said another. I guess there's always exciting stories somewhere. But we have an exciting story, at least for me, anyway. Anybody who out there who's a Tolkien fan or enjoys a good old, big old stack of classic nostalgia will remember the Lord of the Rings games. So, many of them were done in variants. That's the word. So, in variants. So, those who played on Xbox or PlayStation 2 or possibly on GameCube, the Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring was released in those variants, but also was released in a Game Boy Advance variant. And the Game Boy Advance variant played very, very differently than the other versions. This also went on the same for the Two Towers and the Return of the King. So if you have those, which I have all of those, of course, I just don't have them for PS2. I have them for Xbox and Game Boy. For those who have played those or heard of them, you're pretty familiar. I even have the Trekkie guides because they're freaking fun to look at. But aside from that, you also have the PC games of War of the Ring. It was kind of like an early Warcraft 3 style game. You've got, obviously, the legendary Battle for Middle-earth series. You can check out the Discord for that game, and it's down in the description. At the very bottom, there's a game file section, and I have an entire installation guide on how you can get your hands on that for free. No strings attached, completely fan-made project, and credit to the guys who made that thing come to life. It was not me, but I did the installation guide. But if you can't figure it out after that installation guide, I don't know what to help you. Like, you won't be able to tie your shoes. I can tell you that. But fantastic games, all the cool mods, everything's built into an all-in-one, really quick installation. I think it takes less than 5 minutes to get everything up and running. But do with that as you will. For those of you who remember the Third Age, they have a Game Boy Advance version of that, as well as a Xbox, PlayStation 2, and GameCube version of that. You have Lord of the Rings Conquest, which was basically Star Wars Battlefront, but for Lord of the Rings, more or less. I think it was also done by Pandemic, who did the original Star Wars Battlefront 2 and 1 back in 2005 and prior. What else did they make? They had so many games. Obviously, Shadows of War, Shadows of Mordor, all that kind of stuff. I need to cover the Third Age. Wow, I have so many of them running through my head like a stampede. Wow, why is my brain farting? There is a game where you have up to three players, and I don't know why it's Vaporex. War in the North. There it is. I never got to finish that game because there's like a glitch or something in it, and it prevented me from my buddy. We were playing through it together, and we got really, really far, and then the game just stopped working. So that was quality. I mean, it's a fun game, don't get me wrong, but that was really annoying. But yeah, there's been a lot of Lord of the Rings games. Oh, The Hobbit was another one. They have that for, again, Game Boy Advance and for main systems and even computer. You also have Lord of the Rings Online with all of its millions of expansions. I think no, they had the Lord of the Rings MOBA game. I have that on Steam. Doesn't work anymore. Nobody's playing it. It's defunct, so to speak, but it's a fun kind of game if you have people to play with. And they have like the trading card games. They have the Journey to Middle-earth board game and everything. And then they have a whole bunch of board games on Tabletop Simulator that you can play. Tons of stuff. There's lots of stuff out there. And obviously there's actual literal board games. I have probably like 20 plus of them over my board game table that I have. But yes, there's a lot of Lord of the Rings games. But there's never too many games. Well, unless you count that Lord of the Ring Gollum game. That was a mistake. But, granted, one bad and a whole bunch of good, not a bad gig. Also, the one bad, it's the most modern version, so that means that, go figure, made by a bunch of incompetent buffoons, or maybe orangutans, or, as geeks and gamers like to say, orange guns. But neither here nor there. We have news of potentially a new Lord of the Rings game. What could it be? Well, let me tell you. According to Pirate Nation, a new third world... That was Lord of the Rings. Gollum was third world. A new third-person Lord of the Rings action game is reportedly in early development, and the game is designed to compete with Hogwarts Legacy. Look at this absolute chat of a game. I have this on PC, on main systems, and I have 2 copies of it on Game Boy Advance, because you can play with people on the Game Boy Advance version, and it's basically a never-ending game. So once you beat the game, it restarts the game over, and you just basically just keep climbing in levels, and then they have multiplayer. It's a phenomenal game. I even have the soundtrack for my live streams. I just have to remember how to get it to work. But once I do, it's gonna be beautiful. So, and I won't get hit with copyright because it's an 8-bit. 8-bit Lord of the Rings. It's phenomenal. But anyway, this is a Butte 12 plus. It's rated T for teen. But we also have more information, and I will correct one error as we get to it, but Insider Gaming, exclusive new Lord of the Rings game in development. I'll make that a little bit larger for all y'all. There we go. I believe this is Lord of the Rings Online. I don't know. They have, if you hover over the pictures, is Lord of the Rings Game 1. You can't see it, but I can see it. A brand new Lord of the Rings game is in development and has been for some time. Sources close to the game tell Insider Gaming that a new title is set to be, at least partially, funded by the Abu Dhabi Investment Office, ADIO. This funding should roughly equate to $100 million, give or take. The deal has been in the works since last year, and while not signed yet due to a number of moving parts, is said to be made official soon and could happen as early as next week. Regarding current funding of the game's development, it has been funded internally. As for what the game will be, sources didn't want to say too much. What was said, however, is that it will be a third-person action game that is designed in a way to compete with Hogwarts Legacy. This sounds like it's going to be Lord of the Rings Online, except not an MMO, as far as I can tell. The first 3 were all, I believe, third person, if I can recall. It's been a hot minute since I played the earlier ones. I know Return of the King and Two Towers was third person, so I believe Fellowship was third person for consoles. It was top down, kind of Diablo-esque style for the Game Boy Advance games. But I will play them because I have this wonderful device here. I gotta remember the name. Epilogue is the company that makes this thing. It's the GB Operator. Let me be professional for once. All right, here we go. This is the GB Operator. It's a cool little flashy little thing. It says Epilogue on the bottom. You can see it. But it's a USB plug-in. It's a USB-C plug-in and USB. And all you do is plug this bad boy into your PC, download the software that Epilogue provides, and you can play any Game Boy to Game Boy Advance game on your computer, laptop, tablet, whatever it might be. At this point, probably cell phones. Actually, probably not, because I don't think the software is designed for that. But the point being, I can now play all of the old school Game Boy Advance games that have different play style on them on computer, live stream gaming Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So, there you have it. To go a little further than that, if it's going to be a Hogwarts Legacy competitor, I don't know, because, I mean, I played Hogwarts Legacy. It was the first game I think I live streamed on here, on this channel, because it was coming out about the same time the channel was being launched, and I was just like, you know what? I don't have much knowledge of Harry Potter and all that stuff, so why not try it? And it was okay. It wasn't like great or anything, but it wasn't terrible. It was pretty neutral. And I'm sure if I was a Harry Potter fan, I'd probably have enjoyed it a lot more. I've seen the movies of Harry Potter. I have not read the books. I don't really care. I have Lord of the Rings. Like, I know I don't need to have only one or the other, but point being, it is what it is. Like, it wasn't necessarily for me because I think from a logical perspective, and if I can pull out a freaking Glock 23 or something and pop somebody in the face, why would you go Avada Kedavra when I can just pop you in the face at a much faster speed that cannot be dodged? um, Although accuracy is a problem in that regard. I would just homing device. I'd go. I can't say that. I can't say that. I was gonna say homo whatever, like homing missile, but that came out wrong. So homo missile, and then homo magic missile maybe, and then just pop the gun with it, and then the gun will just, like, if I point at something, I shoot it and it hits the person, and then you don't have to worry about accuracy. That's what I would probably do as a wizard. Homo. They die. That's a weird joke. Anyway. But no, I didn't really, I just did the main story. I didn't go, and normally I don't do that. Normally I go like everywhere and do everything, but it's a little different to do on a live stream. It's difficult to go and just poke all the little details. Like when I played Stellar Blade on my PS5, I didn't play it live stream. I got to the final boss, the first of the 3 stories, and I'm stuck on the last boss because I forgot how to play. But I'll eventually figure it out. But point being is that me going around and searching for every little piece, using guides, being like, I don't want to spend 3,000 hours on a game that only takes 40, right? Like, you don't want to spend ridiculous amount of time just randomly searching. So I find a guide and say, okay, here's all the collectibles, because once I get all the collectibles, I can play the next 2 times, and I'll either know where everything is to get more stuff because they have additionals. It's one of the cool things about New Game Plus Plus, or New Game Plus, I should say. They don't have plus as far as more. But you can get basically all this stuff, but nobody live stream wants to see you do that. They want you to make a tutorial video. They want you to go through and do all that kind of stuff. So that's the reason I don't play the games like Hogwarts Legacy completely to 100% completion. I've done like Assassin's Creed 1, Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed 2.5, Assassin's Creed Revelations, and Black Flag. I've 100%ed. I didn't really have any interest in the other ones, honestly. Not to go to 100%. But essentially, it's very difficult to do in a live stream unless you have like overwhelming support by any viewers to like keep playing it. We want to see all the extra stuff. We want blah blah blah. It doesn't happen too often. Most people just want to see what the game's about, see your reactions to it, and have a good time. And that's what it's about. That's what gaming is about. That's why I don't think it's a bad thing to use guides, because I mean, guides are there to give you more content that if you didn't use, you'd probably walk right by them and never use them. But some people get really down on people like, I can't believe you used a guide. I can't believe you used a guide. I can't believe you're complaining about this. I'm here to have fun, and that's all that matters. But I still think skill is important when it comes to some games, because some games are skill-based games, and you won't get very far if you don't. Stellar Blade is one of those. If you don't have skill, at least to some extent, and raw determination and grit, because, woo boy, I hate those bosses. But unless you have those things, you're just not going to make it work. Now, personally, I want to mod my PS5 controller to where I can have all my abilities and I can just push a button combination rather than do this weird thumb thingamajigger wiggle hooga and then do whatever. But that's a different story. Anyway, Lord of the Rings. I don't know what it will end up like, because Hogwarts Legacy was not that big. It was like the valley with the building. Well, there's not really that kind of a layout for a Lord of the Rings game. Even if you play Shadows of War and Shadows of Mordor, like you didn't have the whole place. You only had like a very small portion because it was mostly Mordor territory, Mordor, Gondor, that kind of a thing. Like it was a very small place in the grand scheme of everything. I'm worried that they're going to do instances like you'll have your Shire, you'll have your Rivendell, you'll have your Moria, you'll have your Isengard. You'll have all these different areas, but it's not going to be like, I don't want to say a 1-to-1 because that'd be very difficult to do. Lord of the Rings Online is probably the closest thing we have to a 1-to-1 scale of Middle Earth, and it's been even scaled down for video game content because otherwise it would take you months to get from Shire to Gondor. Instead, you can kind of straight to it if you have the passageway unlocked and available. And if you wanted to like bum rush everything, you could probably get to it in a couple hours, if not like a day, which is not how it would work in a scale environment. I mean, I would kill to have a Lord of the Rings actual 1-to-1 rendition of Middle Earth. Not just Middle Earth, though. I'd want everything in Arda. I want it all. And then you could go across the ice all the way over to Valinor or something like that. And find ways to get, I mean, lore-wise, it'd be very difficult to do that without being an elf. And even if you are an elf, it'd be very difficult to do that. But it'd be fun to have that kind of experience. And then you could do all the different wars from all the different time periods. But unfortunately, there are so many rights issues with like the Silmarillion and with, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. But I think like we have games like Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, Return of the King. We have games like The Hobbit. We have all that type of stuff. So I don't understand why. Not really why. What could you actually do in that particular instance? And I say that, and I'll bring this back up. I say that because if you're just doing a Hogwarts Legacy type of thing, you're essentially going to be doing a Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War, or you're going to do Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King. Like, that's what you're doing. You're doing a third person of that. That's it. Like, what are you doing at that point? I don't know what to expect. But in addition to the ADIO, completely back on topic, it was said that multiple parties are involved with the game, including Embracer, Revenge, and other studios. Embracer has had the rights to Lord of the Rings IP for video games since 2022, when it paid nearly $400 million. It has since licensed out those rights to other companies to produce titles, including the much-maligned Lord of the Rings Gollum. It's actually Lord of the Ring Gollum. They don't have an S in the title. So the person who wrote this article is ignorant of that fact. He also didn't add a period at the end of this, which is a little weird, but okay. When contacted for a for a statement, Embracer says that a general rule, we do not comment on rumors or speculation. Revenge, one studio said to be involved with the game, also declined to comment on rumor or speculation. What do you think of a new Lord of the Rings game? And do you think a third-person action game is the right way to go? Let us know down in the comments below. Blah, blah, blah. Don't care about them. Leave the comments below here because we are what matters. This, you, me, we're what matters. We're the ones who matter. Not Insider Gaming. They don't care. They don't matter. But anyway, that being said, I don't know what to expect. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be hopeful about this or not, because I am worried that it might completely devolve into a horrific game with horrific developers who don't care about it and they want to just enact diversity and equity, inclusion, and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Like the DIE. I just want a good Lord of the Rings game. And some people say, well, just don't even make Lord of the Rings games anymore. It's like, well, you could, but hey, I love Tolkien. I love the Middle Earth Legendarium. I guess more the Middle Earth for Legend. I love the Tolkien Legendarium. I love the games, the board games, even the ones that don't follow the story accurately. They're just a fun little game to play. I love them all because I love the theme. I love the essence of them. And I'd like to see more Lord of the Rings. But I want to see Lord of the Rings, not Lord of the 2025, how I feel in my emotion Lord of the Rings wannabe fanfic, like Rings of Power. I want to see actual Lord of the Rings. So, that being said, Hopefully this was exciting for you. It's a rather short video for me. And I wish I had more to talk about because I looked and I looked and I couldn't find that much information about it. But I am excited to see good news. I'm not excited to see bad news. So let's hope it's good news. And I guess I'll just have to go play more Lord of the Rings and see how that goes because I have a lot of Lord of the Rings games and I can play them. So I'm gonna. But thanks once again, everybody, for hanging out and sticking with me. I know it's sometimes a chore because I am me. So, love to see you guys in the next video, or I guess live stream, depending on how you look at it, whatever you watch this. Check out my videos that drop on Sundays and on Fridays at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, or my Tuesday live streams at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'd love to see you in live chat and just have a fun, good time. Love to see you in the Discord. It's down in the description. Lots of cool stuff, memes, game suggestions, live stream schedules, all that fun stuff. And just hang out and chat with me, yours truly, because that's what everybody wants to do with their life. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, also check the description for any recommendations for any content creators or businesses that are pretty cool. So, non-sponsored, you know the drill. Thanks everybody for sticking around. Remember, walk in the light, my friends.